Hello, my name is Andy and I am the Village Idiot. I'm armed with a car and a GoPro and an unhealthy amount of time on my hands. I'm using that time to attempt to visit every civil parish in England. You're watching the West Lindsey series. This is one of the 9 districts of Lincolnshire and one of the county's most rural. It has 128 civil parishes. Let's see which one this episode's all about. Welcome back to West Lindsey, everybody. Now, it seems the weather gods actually heard me in Owersby because the rain has started to slow down. It's not fully stopped, so I still am getting a little bit wet out here, but nowhere near as much as I was in last week's episode, which is a good thing because it means I can move around a bit more freely. Now, this one is very similar to Owersby. It's got a lot of settlements within its boundaries. Its main settlement, though, is this one I'm standing in right now. This is North Owersby, and welcome to the parish of Owersby. The West Lindsey series is sponsored by Gainsborough Cycles 01427 617 752. For all your cycling needs, this is your one-stop shop, located at 20 Ropery Road or online at gainsboroughcycles.com. There's a link in the description. Gainsborough Cycles, ask for Trevor Halstead. And this video is also sponsored by Jamie's Fitness Studio, based on Low Road, Greyingham, near Curtin in Lindsey. Jamie is one busy lady. Check her out by calling 07906 749 574 or emailing hello@jamies.co.uk. Online membership is available. There's a link to her Facebook page in the description. Jamie's Fitness Studio. Get fit, get happy, get healthy. Here's my disclaimer for people who may be watching me for the first time. I say things as I would in my native accent and dialect. As a result, I may not pronounce things in the same way as the locals do. Remember, I'm a visitor. It's impossible to know everything. Leave me a comment, spin me a like, and bash that subscribe button. Let's get to today's parish video. Welcome to Owersby, which is a collective term for a handful of settlements situated deep in the heart of the West Lindsey countryside between Market Rasen and Caistor. There's no village with the name of just simply Owersby. Instead, Owersby Parish contains the village of North Owersby and the hamlets of South Owersby, Thornton le Moor, North Gulham and South Gulham. With the exception of the 2 Gulhams, these settlements were their own civil parishes until 1936, when they were combined to form the boundaries that we have today. In total, less than 300 people call this part of Lincolnshire home, and they're spread far and wide across the area. The main population centre is North Owersby, itself a tiny village. The vast majority of the land out here is rich arable farmland, and there's more than a few working farms. Historically, the area was once owned by Lord Monson's estate. North Owersby was later sold to Squire Angerstein and then to the Boyntons. Over time, it was sold to the various villagers and farmers who reside here today. The highlights of this parish include an equestrian centre, which is run by a man who's farmed this land all his life, along with his wife. There's a church, a set of stocks, and a modest collection of historic buildings. Look out as well for a hilarious sign outside a farmhouse. All in all, there's not a lot here, but there's enough to make this one worth watching. Let's go! We start by driving north from Kingerby along some pretty narrow lanes. We're in South Gulham here, which is all about farms and farmyards. By contrast, North Gulham is known mainly for its spa, based at North Gulham House, about half a mile away from where we are here. It's a bumpy old road up there, so instead I headed to Thornton le Moor. This has an 11th century ironstone church dedicated to All Saints with a limestone cross shaft that's built into the back of an aumbrey. Close by to here are the remains of the deserted medieval villages of Beesthorpe and Corthorpe. Thornton le Moor is mainly known for this, an equestrian cross-country training centre which opened in 2020. It's owned by Bob and Ange Winter and was born out of the latter's passion for horses. We start our main walk at the eastern end of Moor Road outside the former United Free Methodist Chapel. This was founded in 1881 and it closed in 1938. Next door is a farm, not an uncommon sight in this part of Lincolnshire as we already know. Farming is the main occupation for many folks who live here, and this one is run by A and P Schofield. I had to take a shot of this sign on its gate. This is a clear message for all you city folk who want to move to the countryside. Living next to a farm comes with conditions. Over the road is a small green upon which we have some stocks. These are a replica of the original ones and were placed here in 1987 by the parish council. Not a replica though is this old village pump. These two landmarks are next to the village's old blacksmith shop, which now makes machinery for the food processing industry. Speaking of businesses, next we have Nick Young Tractor Parts, who supply new replacement parts for John Deere tractors and dismantle them for spares. An interesting main street up to now, I have to admit, and I'm going to be laughing forever at that sign. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Okay, we've reached this property here, this white property, and as I was approaching this, I was looking at it thinking it's got a bell coat. This here, the bell coat. Now normally when we see one of those, it's either on the side of a chapel or a church, or it's on the side of a school. In this case, this is the old school. Thornton Road is the main street through the village from north to south. This is mostly residential, and as you'll see shortly, there are both new properties and old ones too. The old ones include some farmhouses. Here's Manor Farm, which is one of two Grade 2 listed farmhouses in North Owersby. The other is Hall Farm, and both were built of yellow brick in about 1835. That's on the right hand side as you walk up the road. On the left, there's a row of properties called Folly Hill, which is also the name given to the small rise of land behind them. Here's the newer properties. Described as New Age, these have been built within the last 2 years by Crowdit Build It Limited on what used to be a barren field. As you approach the end of the road, there's another old chapel. This was for the Wesleyans and it was built in 1842. It closed in 1869 and is now a private residence. There was once a third chapel too on Moor Road, also Wesleyan. Now we're on Church Lane, where there was some local fruit on offer. Nice plums. Okay, so now we've reached Church Lane and the church is directly behind the camera. You're looking the other way at the moment, but if I turn it around, you can see the church. I'm going to be as quick as possible with this church because the rain is starting to fall again. So get through this and I'll be back in the nice warm sanctity of the car. St Martin's Church is the subject of a rhyme which is sung by children from other local villages. It goes as follows: Owersby Parish, wicked people, sold their bells to build a steeple. In its churchyard there's a tree planted to celebrate the 90th birthday of our late Queen. The bench in front of it is to do with one of her jubilees. The church was totally rebuilt in 1762 by J. Warner of Caistor using medieval ironstone masonry. It was much altered in the late 19th century, 1888 to be exact. During this restoration, a lot of its 18th century furnishings were removed, although its birdbath style font was left alone. The tower has a segmental head and a hexagonally faced clock. It's open daily, although on my visit I suspect it was too early in the morning because the main door was locked. It's one of the 7 churches that belong to the Kelsey Group, and as far as services go, just the one is held here on a regular basis, usually communion on the first Sunday of every month. To finish with, we're taking a drive south towards Kirkby and through the hamlet known as South Owersby. This is separated from North Owersby by Kingerby Beck, which is the watercourse we could see through the trees back at Kingerby Hall. South Owersby is a real blink and you'll miss it kind of place. Despite being a separate civil parish until 1936, it's never had a church and was just a township. It does, though, have a religious connection. Passing through the fields by this road is Elsham Lane, which is a bridleway. It once linked Kingerby with Elsham in North Lincolnshire. That's because the Augustinian priory at Elsham owned estates at Kingerby. The path would have been walked by the monks, and it still can be walked, although in places it's not well maintained. That's been Owersby, folks. Time to move on to the next one, where we're going to be seeing a collection of carvings, a railway line, a pub, and a major Lincolnshire road. I'll see you there next week. Thanks for watching this video, folks. Don't forget to like this episode if you haven't already. It really makes a difference with YouTube. If you're new here, subscribe to the channel for more videos like this, and give us a share too if you've got friends who'd like it. You can find all the links to my social media accounts below, as well as my Buy Me a Coffee page where you can donate to the channel. Also, if you've enjoyed this episode, have a look at some more videos in this series. Until next time, I've been Andy, also known as the Village Idiot, and I'm out.